The Gemara in Megillah says that we know that Talmud Torah is more important than Kibbutz Avim because the years that Yaakov learned in Shem Va'ever, he wasn't punished. That means Yaakov got punished for the years he was away from his parents. The 14 years he learned in Shem Va'ever, he wasn't punished. Now the Mashal over there is a very interesting question. Mashal says,
how do we know that?
The one goes to the Cheshbon that he was away for 14 plus 22 years, right. And he only got punished for 22 of those years.
Okay.
So the 14 years he wasn't punished for because he was sitting and learning at Shem Va'ever.
What was he doing for 22 years?
22 years, he was my loved one. He was working, he's got his wife and his kids. So the question is like this: the Mashra has a question in Megillah. If you look in the Pesukim over here, what happened? Rivka, after Yaakov took the brachos from Esav was upset at Yaakov. So Rivka said, Yaakov, go run away, because Esav is going to kill you. So she said like this: V'ata b'nishma b'koili, v'kum brach l'cha lavan achi charana, v'shaft ima yam achadim, ad asher toshav chamas achicha, asher achicha mamcha, v'shokach et ashasiz l'cha, v'sholachti, u'lekachticha misham. And I'll send somebody to take you back. So Rivka, in the right time, Rivka sent Yaakov to go learn, to go away, to go to her brother in Lavan, that Esav shouldn't kill him. And she said to him, go run away, and I'll send somebody after you when the time is ready to come back. Now we don't see anywhere that Rivka sent somebody to go bring Yaakov back.
Baruch.
Get that in a second. We don't see anywhere that Rivka sent somebody to bring Yaakov back. So why did Yaakov get punished? Kibbutz Avim, he was listening to his mother. His mother said, go run away, and I'll send somebody to bring you back. She never sent anybody to bring him back. Asked the Mashah, so why did he get punished for Kibbutz Avim? That's the Mashah's question. And the Mashah says that he brings down, I forgot one of the Rishonim or the early Achronim brings down, and he says that we see in the way back, when Yaakov was coming back, it says that the Vaira, Menekes Rivka, died. She was with Yaakov. What was the Vaira doing with Yaakov? There's only 3 people that it says they died in the Torah. The Vaira is one of them. 4 people, sorry. It says Rachel, Vaira, Miriam, and Sarah. So it says over there that the Vaira died. The Vaira Menekes Rivka died. When Yaakov was coming back, on his way back, the Vaira Menekes Rivka died. What was she doing there? Says the Mashah, Rivka sent the Vaira to go call Yaakov back. That's what the Mashah says. When did she send the Vaira to come bring Yaakov back? Says the Mashah, after the 14 years of Shem Va'ever. That's what the Mashah says there.
Before he went to Lavan?
Before he went to Lavan. And that's where he got punished for 22 years. That is by Lavan. She stayed with him the whole time, and therefore he should have come back right away. Rivka had sent somebody to call him back. That's what the Mashal says.
Doesn't she send him Peshat to Lavan?
Doesn't she send?
Isn't Peshat that he sent to Lavan? He stops on the way for 14 years.
Right.
But isn't the discussion that that's where he's supposed to go?
He's supposed to go to Lavan, right? He went to Lavan, should have got married to come right back. What he spent 20...
But we're saying that he should have gone from Shem Va'ever back to his family, not to Lavan at all.
Right, he should have gone to Lavan right away. He should have spent the 14 years in Shem Va'ever. The fact that he didn't get punished for that, the Gemara brings a raya that Talmud Torah is more important than Kibbutz Avim.
I see.
That's what the Mashal says. Now, not everybody agrees with that the Vaira was sent before 22 years. So today I'd like to speak about if the Mashal's kasha is a kasha at all. What happened over here was, after Rivka told Yaakov to go run to Padan Aram, to where Lavan was, Yaakov didn't go yet. Rivka went over to Yitzchak and says to Yitzchak, Vatayim Rivka al Yitzchak, Katzti b'chayai, v'pnei b'nei ches, em lakeach Yaakov ishim em b'nei ches kaila. First Rivka tells Yaakov, go run away. Esav is going to kill you, run away. She's not finished yet. He didn't go yet, Yaakov. She went over to Yitzchak. Says, Yitzchak, I don't want Yaakov to take a wife from the Bnei Ches. I want to take a wife from our family. So Yitzchak listens, and then Yitzchak calls Yaakov, and he says, Go to Besuel's house and take a wife from there. So after Rivka told Yaakov to run away because Esau is going to kill him, that wasn't enough for Yaakov. Yaakov wasn't going yet. She had to go convince Yitzchak that I don't want Yaakov to take a wife from the Bnei Ches. So Yaakov should go to Lavan to get a wife from there. Then Yitzchak sent Yaakov to go, and then Yaakov went. After it says, and Yaakov went. What happened? Rivka told Yaakov, go run away. Esau's going to kill you. And he didn't leave. Why didn't Yaakov leave right away? Why did he have to wait till she went to Yitzchak, told Yitzchak, I don't want to take a wife from Bnei Ches, and then he first went to Lavan. What happened?
Was he waiting for his father's approval?
Oh, so was he waiting for his father's approval? Did he need his father's approval? Was he waiting for his father's approval? So there's a Beis Yosef al Torah. Sefer Beis Yosef al Torah.
Why was he protected from Esau at Shem Ve'ever? No, at Shem Ve'ever. He was in the neighborhood.
He was hiding. Esau didn't know where he was.
So Esau thought he had left.
Yeah, he was hiding from him.
He thought his son killed him also.
Later on, yeah, on the way.
On the way,
so that wasn't Shem Ve'ever. That was after Shem Ve'ever.
Oh, was that Shem Ve'ever?
Yeah, that was after Shem Ve'ever.
15 years later. He must have known he was there. He sent him.
He knew he was alive. He knew he was alive, but he didn't know that where he was. He was hiding. It says he was Toman, which based Shem Ve'ever, was hiding. Shlomei Esav came to the yeshiva of Shem Ve'ever and said, "Was Yaakov here?" And said, "Yaakov, who's Yaakov?"
Where'd Yaakov?
I don't know, but that's why we never went to Yeshiva. It wasn't Yeshiva going anyway.
For Yaakov.
No, Esau.
No, Esau was looking for Yaakov.
But he would never think of going there.
That's where he would think of going. That's where his brother would be. But then the question is, how did he know his brother left? That he would.
Shem Ve'ever, it's a good question. Had to catch him on the way.
Yeah.
Maybe the call went out that they spotted Yaakov.
Could be.
They spotted him. Fine, so that's the kasha. So the Beis Yosef here in the Chumash speaks about this, and the Beis Yosef says a very interesting thing. It says the Beis Yosef like this: after Rivka told Yaakov to go run away, Yaakov was not allowed to leave yet. Why not? Because this is a Gemara. The Gemara says, "Abur amalai yishkini mayim, ve'ima omeres hashkini mayim." It's Gemara in Kedushin. If your father tells you, "Please bring me a cup of water," and your mother tells you, "Please bring me a cup of water," so you can't do both now. They both need a cup of water. You can't do both. Who are you mechuyev to do it for? Your father or your mother? That's what someone asked in the Gemara to Rabbi Eliezer. Shaul ben Almona said Rabbi Eliezer, which is interesting. It's a ben Almona. They speak about why it's a ben Almona. He had no mother, but he asked this question to Rabbi Eliezer. Ab Amalei Shkini Mayim v'Imar Mersa Shkini Mayim Ezim Hem Kodim Amalei Hanach Kvoid Mecha. Leave the cover of your mother, v'asei Kvoid Avicha, and do your father's cover. Why? Sha'ata v'imecha Chayav Mechvoid Avicha. Because you and your mother are mechuyev b'chvoid avicha. That's what the Gemara says. Now, what does that mean? How do we understand those words? Sha'ata v'imecha mechuyev b'chvoid avicha. You and your mother are mechuyev in the cover of your father. So when you learn the Gemara, the Pashtus, this is what the Mashra says, is that your mother also has to bring your father a cup of water. Your mother also mechuyev to bring your father a cup of water. So your father asks you to bring him a cup of water. You have to go to your father first, because your mother anyway is mechuyev to do that now. If your father wants a cup of water, your mother's mechuyev. It's something called in algebra the chain rule. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. I'm sure we're all familiar with that. So, same thing over here. If you're mechuyev, if your mother's mechuyev to do something for your father, and now you have to bring your father a cup of water, so your mother has to wait, because the same way your mother's mechuyev to, you have to do it, so you have to do your father's covered first. That's the way the Mashal learns Pshat in the Gemara. But the other Achraim learn Pshat in the Gemara differently.
Is that assuming that they both ask at the same time? Because if your mother asks first, and you're in the process of fulfilling that mitzvah, and your father asks, you interrupt what you're doing?
Yes, because now your mother will have to bring your father a cup of water. Now your mother will have to bring your father a cup of water. So as the Pesach Tshuva in Hilchas Kibbut Avayim, he says that according to this, if this is the reason why, he has a question. How about If your father asks you to do something, the mother is not mechuyev to do for your father. Your father asks you to do something, your mother doesn't have to do for your father. Not everything your mother has to do for your father. Your mother doesn't, a cup of water, certain things she has to do for your father. But not everything that your mother has to do for your father. So if your father asks you to do something, then your mother is not mechuyev to do for your father, and then your mother asks you to do the same thing. What happens now? Do you have to leave your mother and do it for your father or not? What would you say? If the reason is because your mother has to do this service for your father, so if your father is asking you to do something, a service, that your mother doesn't have to do for your father,
and she asked first,
let's say, well, you have to ask at the same time, so do you have to go do your father, or can you do your mother if you want? Pesach Tshuva has this question, which is a very common question. Very common thing. These things happen daily. A father happens to ask you to bring a cup of water, a mother asks you, it's very uncommon. But there's other things. We'll see in a second a few cases. If your father asks you to do something and your mother asks you to do something that your mother does not have to do for your father. So if you can say the reason is because your mother also has to do it for your father, in this situation your mother doesn't have to do it for your father. So now comes the question. Here in the case of Rivka and Yitzchak, what happened? Rivka told Yaakov to go run away. Go run away. Yaakov didn't tell them to run away. Is this something that Rivka is mechuyev to do for Yitzchak?
Yitzchak didn't tell her.
Yitzchak didn't tell him to run away yet. Is this something that Rivka is mechuyev to do for Yitzchak? No. Right? The father tells you, I want you to do something. Kibbut Avim, you should listen. The mother tells you, I don't want you to do that thing. Which is common, this happens a lot of times. The father wants you to do it, the mother says, no, I don't want you to do it. We're not talking about any isurim, something that's, I want you to go someplace. So your mother says, I don't want you to go there. Your father appreciates that you should go to a certain place, a certain simcha, let's say. I'll give you an example. Your father's friendly with the guy, your mother's in a fight with the guy. Right? Your father wants you to go, it's covered for your father. Your mother says, I don't want you to go. Are you mechuyev to listen to your father over your mother, or no? Maybe you should listen to your mother over your father. Which one do you do? So here's a situation where your mother is not mechuyev to do this for your father. So do you have the svara she'ata v'imecha mechuyav v'mechvay devicha? That's the question.
But in this situation, there's no indication Yitzchak doesn't want him to go.
Right, it's even more. Right, it's even more. Rivka sends Yaakov to run away. Yitzchak, we didn't ask Yitzchak yet. But he may not appreciate it because the son's going to be away for a couple of years.
Or she may be speaking in her father's behalf.
Right, but that's why Yaakov waited to hear what Yitzchak said. Why did Yaakov have to wait to hear what Yitzchak said? Let's even say Yitzchak would say to Yaakov, I don't want you to go. They'll go to Yitzchak, and Yitzchak will say to Yaakov, I don't want you to go. Rivka says, I want you to go. Is Yaakov mechuyev to listen to Yitzchak or not?
Yeah, he is.
So you're saying he is mechuyev. Why is he mechuyev to listen to Yitzchak?
Of the aim. Av is first.
But 1 second, where did you get that from? Who says Av is first? We just said what?
That's what the person
so Rabbi David is making his own drushes now. That Av aim, so the Av is first.
What Av aim?
Av aim.
Where does it come from?
The Gemara doesn't say. The Gemara says. The Gemara says. But 1 second. The Gemara says the reason is she'ata v'imecha mechuyav mechvay devicha. The Gemara says the reason why. You know why? If your father says bring me a cup of water, and your mother says bring me a cup of water, you go to the mother first. The Gemara doesn't say because kibbut Av aim, Av is first. The Gemara gives a reason for it. She'ata v'imecha mechuyav mechvay devicha. Anyway, your mother has to do it. But in this situation, your mother doesn't have to do it. So who says you have to listen to your father over your mother? That is the Pesach Tshuva's question over here. If you have a situation where your father wants you to do one thing and your mother wants you to do something else, are you mechuyev to listen to your father over your mother? You don't have the svara of she'ata v'imecha mechuyav mechvay devicha.
Your mother will forgive you faster than your father.
Okay, that's where you're going into svaras. Yeah, you're going to svaras. Okay, I'm talking about halacha first, before svaras. So that's the question. That's the Pesach Tshuva's question. And he comes out, he says that b'pashtus, you're not mechuyev to listen to your father over your mother. Because the only reason why the Gemara says you're mechuyev to listen to your father over your mother is because of the svara, she'ata v'imecha mechuyav mechvay devicha. A situation where you don't have that, shavim. Shavim. The Beis Yosef does seem to say, in the case of Yitzchak and Rivka, that you are mechuyev to listen to your father. The question is why? Why are you mechuyev to listen to your father over your mother? There's no svar of she'ativ yimecha mechuyev mechvay devicha. So there's a makne on that Gemara in Kedushin, and the makne explains the Gemara a little differently than the Marsha. The Marshavi said, if your mother's mechuyev to do it, and you're mechuyev to do it anyway, so you do it because anyway your mother's mechuyev to do it. The makne says a very interesting pshat. He says, the fact that your mother's mechuyev to be mechaved your father, it's a raya, it's a proof that your father's covered is more important than your mother's covered. He says a lashon.
That's what I meant.
That's what he meant. It's a raya that kvoid of adif. Kvoid of adif means your father's covered comes first before your mother's covered. So there's two ways of learning the Gemara now. Either you can learn it means, like the Mashal says, it's a svara. Since anyway your mother has to go and bring the cup of water to your father, so you should do your father first. Or no, it's more than that. It's showing us that your father's covered is more important, is adif. It comes first before your mother's covered. What's the nafkamina? What's the difference? The difference is in the case we said till now. When your mother's not mechuyev to do it for your father. The case of Rivka and Yitzchak. So we have here a big machlokes. The Pesach Shuvah brings down the shayla and he says, he paskins. He says, in such a situation, your father does not come first. But he says, Vadayin tzarchim b'zeh. He says, still have to be ma'ayin in it. According to the Beis Yosef, would come out that you don't have to listen to your father over your mother. We don't see adif over here. And now we'll see there's a Beis Yosef in halacha that goes with this sheet. This is the Beis Yosef in Chumash. Okay, you could say it's Torah, it's not halacha, fine. But it doesn't mean the paskin and the shalis. The Pesach Shuvah, and two sif cottons later, brings down a question. Someone's mother died. So what do you do when your mother dies? You say Kaddish. Now there's a whole shayla about saying Kaddish when the parent is still alive. If both parents are alive, let's say a grandparent died, so the meaning is we don't say Kaddish. As long as you have both parents, you don't say Kaddish. When one parent died, then you say Kaddish for that parent. Now the reason why the meaning is we don't say Kaddish when your parents are alive and for a different relative is because people are going to think that one of the person's parents died and parents don't want that. It's not covered for the parents. But when one of the spouses die, the mother or the father die, you say Kaddish. You say Kaddish. Now how about in a situation where someone's mother died and Achar Misa, the father says, I don't want you saying Kaddish for your mother. It's not covered for me. You say, I'm still alive, you're saying Kaddish for your mother, I don't want you saying Kaddish for your mother. What's the halacha in such a situation? Do you have to listen to your father or not? So the Beis Yosef says, you have to listen to your father. Why? Because k'foid av adif. The covet of your father is more important. You're saying Kaddish because of the covet of your mother. Kibbut of aim, you're saying Kaddish for the covet of your mother. If the father is makbid, you shouldn't say Kaddish for the mother. K'foid av adif, and you don't say Kaddish for the mother.
Say Kaddish a chiyuv?
It's not a chiyuv. So some people think that it's Yarek Vayaver and it's Teicha Ben Adam L'Chaveira, Ben Adam L'Malkim, it's like everything, but it's not that way. Saying Kaddish is a ill in the Neshama, but if it causes any fights or anything, there's no question about it. I think anyone spoke about this already. Daven for the Amid saying Kaddish.
That's right.
Huh?
We talked about davening for the Amid.
Daven for the Amid, even saying Kaddish. I was in a shul recently, and a person, 2 weeks ago, a person's daven for the Amid, and he at the end of Karbonis, before Haidu, so he said, and before he said the Yiratzin, a guy who was saying Kaddish starts saying Kaddish. And the person turns around, before he realizes what happened, the guy's halfway through the Kaddish, and he's stuck there without saying Kaddish. So I happened to be standing right next to him, and he says, what should I do? Like I stuck Kaddish in the middle while he's saying Kaddish? So I told him, don't say Kaddish. Keep quiet. He says, why? I said, you're going to start saying Kaddish now, that guy's going to get all embarrassed. He didn't realize what he was doing, it was a mistake. I said, it's better not to embarrass him than to say Kaddish. It'll be much more ill in the Neshama for your father, it was his mother, that you don't say Kaddish than if you say Kaddish. And he didn't say Kaddish. Kaddish is very important to say Kaddish, but if it's going to embarrass somebody or cause fights, it's not going to die. So here it's a question of Kibbud Av. The father says, don't say Kaddish, and the mother is Kibbud aim to say Kaddish. What do? So the Bereshis says, Kvoid Av Odif. The cover of the father is more important, therefore if the father says, don't say Kaddish, you're required to listen to the father, and we don't say Kaddish. So we see the Bereshis is very good, the Bereshis says over here, by Rivka and Yitzchak, says the Bereshis, Yaakov could not have gone without the permission of Yitzchak. Why? Because Rivka told him to go, but Yitzchak may not want him to go. So we have to listen to his father. So we have here a big nafkamina, halacha l'maisa. You have here, the father says, I want you to do something, and your mother's against it. Who do you listen to? According to Bereshis, you have to listen to the father. According to the Pischei Tshuva, he says, no, pick your choice. You can do any of them.
In the previous example, if the other parent dies.
Oh, so if the other parent dies, right? Let's say it's the opposite.
If the father dies, the mother says...
So very good, very good. Let's say it's the opposite. Let's say it's the opposite. If the father dies and the mother says, don't say Kaddish. So the truth is, the Pischei Tshuva speaks about that case. And he brings that from the Noda B'Yehuda. If the father dies and the mother says, don't say Kaddish for the father, so the Noda B'Yehuda says, you listen to the mother. Why? Because Kvoid Chai Odif. The cover of a living person is more important than the cover of the one that's dead. So the father's not alive and the mother's alive. You have a question of Kibbud Av or Kibbud Aim. You do Kibbud Aim because Kvoid Chai Odif. That's what the Noda B'Yehuda says. So Kiva Eiger says from the Beis Yosef we see not like the Noda B'Yehuda. Because the Noda B'Yehuda says the reason why you don't say Kaddish is because Kvoid Chai Odif. The cover of the Chai is more important. So Beis Yosef says that the father tells her don't say Kaddish for the mother. Why do you listen to the father? Because Kvoid Av Odif. Why did the Beis Yosef say a much better reason? Kvoid Chai Odif.
Exactly.
Why did he say Kvoid Chai Odif? Says the Rabbi Kiva Ego, you see from the Beis Yosef that if it's the opposite way, you won't listen to the mother. You will not listen. If we don't say Kvoid Chai Odif, we say Kvoid Av Odif. So if it happens to be the opposite way, the mother says don't say Kaddish for the father, according to Beis Yosef, you won't listen to the mother. You listen to the father's cover is Adif, and you would say Kaddish.
This can happen many times. We have divorced parents that they hate their kids.
Yeah, so we'll get to divorced parents in a second. Divorced parents is even worse. We'll see in a second why.
Is this assuming that you're dealing with Frum Yidden? Because what if you've got a father who's not a Frum Yid and says, I don't believe in this nonsense, boom, boom, boom. I don't want you saying Kaddish for your mother. To me it's a lot of nonsense. You have to show covered for your father because that's
Maybe
his
not.
reason. Because not covered for the father. He's just saying it's shtus.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe then you have to listen.
So then it could be. Then it'll be. So each case could be.
Each case could be different. Because the klal of Kibbud Av is if the father is doing something because he's going to negate Torah.
Right.
Then I'm going to listen. If the reason why the father said don't take Kaddish doesn't believe in the whole thing, it's going to negate Torah. You don't have to do it. The father says don't do it because of his own cover, which today doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
Today most spouses are masking and if But if the father's saying it because he wants to go Keneged Torah, don't believe in it, then you're not equipped to listen.
So there's no kibbud of aim if it's against.
If it's against the Torah, there's no kibbud of aim. Any time it comes to a shiloh against the mitzvah, the Gemara says there's no such thing as kibbud of aim. Why? And the Gemara says the same reason. Sha'ata v'avicha chuyav mechvaydi. You and your father mechuyin l'chavod Hashem. So the father says, don't do something connected the Ratzon Hashem. You're not mechuyin because Kvod Hashem is Adif. So this is all talking about by spouses that were together. How about divorced spouses? So the Gemara says, the halacha is like this, very interesting. The halacha is that this that we say that she'ata v'yimecha mechiyad nechvay devicha and kvoid av adif. What does it mean kvoid av adif? Your father's cover is more important, not because always your father's cover is more important. If you have a mother and a father living together, since your mother's mechuyev to respect your father, therefore now kvoid av adif. How about if they get divorced? Parents get divorced. Now the mother tells her shkini mayim, and the father tells her shkini mayim. Who do you have to listen to? There, everybody agrees. You pick whichever one you want, because right now it's not. Is there
an obligation depending on what house you're living in? If you're living in the roof of the mother.
So that would be different questions already. If the father's taking care of you, maybe you should respect the father more. If you're allowed to pick one or the other, the halacha is then it's shneim shavim. then they're equal. If the parents are divorced, now they're equal. So if someone has parents that were divorced, and then one of them died, and the spouse that's alive says, don't say Kaddish, you have to listen. There's no K'void Av Odif anymore. Then there's no K'void Av Odif anymore. Because now they're equal. So after divorce, both parents are equal. You can do whatever you want. You can pick your choice, which one you want to be mechavet over the other one. There's no K'void Av. So that will be the machlokes between the achronim, and it comes up a lot. This question comes up a lot. The father tells you to do something, the mother doesn't want you to do it, the mother's against it, the father's for it, or the opposite. Also, nothing that's connected to the Torah, then it's a machlokes who you have to listen to the father, or you can pick your choice. Now this is all, like we said, when they're married together, after the divorce not. Now there's another issue, which is not as covered. Some people want to say the reason why Yaakov didn't listen to Rivka right away and he didn't leave, there's something called covered av, and there's another darga called you can't embarrass your father, a bezoyin. That's something else. To embarrass a parent, then already it's a whole different issue. It's not kavod av and kavod aim. You have to pick your choice between cover your father, cover your mother. If let's say there's a question of being mechabed your father, and your mother will get embarrassed, then you don't say kavod av odif. It's something else. A person not to be mevazed the parent. Yeah, it can't be mevazed the parent. First, the question he asked before is the next halacha. Amal avav lavra devei Torah bei mitzvah say bei mitzvah lo say afilu mitzvah levreim lo yishmaloi. You don't listen to the father. That's the mechaber. Ha'av shetzivas benoi shloi david and ploini shloi yimchaloi. Father got in a fight with somebody and says, don't speak to him, and I'm moichel him, stay away from him. Adzman kotzev v'ben hayiroitze lehespayis miyad. The son wants to make peace with lulei tzavos of it, without going against the tzavah of the father. Ein le'lachlish tzavah. So you don't have to listen to the father's tzavah. The father has akpada on somebody and he doesn't want you to make peace. Also, something like that, you're allowed to go ahead against the father's tzavah. You're allowed to go ahead and make peace. Okay, so now that we just explained the psukim according to the Beis Yosef, so if you look in the psukim in Chumash, it's very interesting. Rivka told Yaakov, "Kum brach lecha, go run away." He didn't go yet. He went to Yitzchak, and Rivka went to Yitzchak and told Yitzchak, "Let's send them away to get married." What does it say in the pasuk afterwards? Vayikra Yitzchak Yaakov v'varach ha'isavei v'yisavei v'yem eloi v'yisikach isha v'vneis Canaan. Yaakov didn't tell Yaakov, go run. He wasn't running. As far as Yitzchak was concerned, Yaakov wasn't running from Esav. He was going to find himself a wife. What does it say at the end? It says at the end, Vayishma Yaakov el ov elimoy vayelech padan Aram. Supposed to vayelech, he went. It doesn't say he ran. Vayivrach padan Aram. Why vayelech? He listened to his father. His father said, "Vayelech padan Aram." His mother says, "Kum barach lecha." Must have go run away to padan Aram. You see from the pasuk a right to the Beis Yosef. His mother told him, "Kum barach lecha," and his father told him, "Vayelech, go get a wife." Who do you have to listen to? Listen to his father. He says, "Vayelech padan Aram." Yaakov went. He didn't run. Why? Because he listened to his father. It's a right to the Beis Yosef. With some first pasuk, a right to the Beis Yosef, that if your father tells you one thing and your mother tells you something else, even though the mother is not mechuyev in this thing, do it for the father, you have to listen to the father. And that's why he should have come back right away. When Yitzchak sent him to go find a wife, he should have found himself a wife and come back right away. The fact that he didn't, that's why he's punished on Kibbutz Avim. So the Mashal who learns the reason is because that because it's a svara, because the mother anyway has to give your father a drink. So according to the Mashal, would come out that if the father and the mother tell you something that the mother's not mechuyev to listen to the father, you don't have to listen to the father. So the Mashal has a kash over here. Rivka never sent anybody to bring Yaakov back. So why was he punished? Mashal has a kasha. According to the Beis Yosef, this kasha never starts. Because Yitzchak didn't send him. Rivka sent him, Yitzchak not. So on Yitzchak, he should have come back right away. For Rivka, he wasn't mechuyev to listen to Rivka. Because Rivka was going against Yitzchak's tzavah.
He should have come back right away because Yitzchak sent him for a specific task.
Yeah, go to get married and come right back. Rivka says, sent him, and said, I'll send somebody to bring you back. She never sent anybody to bring him back. So if he would have listened to Rivka, he could have gone forever.
Yeah.
So Mashra has a question, because he could have listened to Rivka over Yitzchak.
Right.
But according to the Beis Yosef, who holds that such a situation, you're still mechuyev to listen to the father, so the kasha doesn't start.
Right.
And when do we
no
think?
question.
No question. You listen to Yitzchak, you should have come back right away.
Right.
Rivka told him, go run away. I'll send somebody to get you.
So non-starter.
Wait,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
28 years. If he listened to his father, he went over there to get married.
Should have come back right away. Should have gotten a wife and come back right away. He stayed there so many years.
And when did the nursemaid Devorah go get him?
So the Mashal says the Devorah went to get him after the 14 years of Shem Ve'ever.
Before he left Eretz Yisrael.
Before he left to Padan Aram. Before he left Eretz Yisrael. It's a big question, the Mashal. Which is a question that's bothering me for years. Mashal has a question. Mashal says, why did he get punished? Rivka told him to go, right? Mashal, we said, holds, he could listen to his mother over his father. So Rivka sent him to go, and I'll send somebody to get you. Ask the Mashal a question. She never sent anybody to get him. Says the Mashal, she did send somebody. She sent Devorah to get him. When did she send Devorah to get him? After the 14 years of Shem Ve'ever. If he sent it after the 14 years of Shem Ve'ever, so what's the Gemara's raya that the 14 years of Shem Ve'ever didn't get punished? It's a raya that Torah is more important than Kibbutz of Aim. She first sent Devorah after the 14 years to get him. That's why he wasn't punished for the 14 years. The Mashal has the question, how could he answer that he sent Devorah after the 14 years? So then what's the raya of the Gemara that he was punished for the 14 years? This question has bothered me for years. I never saw good terrorists.
He was not punished for 14 years.
The Gemara says he wasn't punished for 14 years. It's a raya that Torah is more important than Kibbutz Avayim. But according to the Mashal, what's the raya? She first sent Devorah after the 14 years.
There's no question. It's a non-starter.
No, the Mashal says. Okay, fine. I asked a question on the Mashal.
But the shot, what we know is that she died on the way back, right?
Died on the way back. Yeah, but she was there the whole time.